It's about to get bitterly cold in Florida. What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Keg is back with you. Before we get into the chill, we have to get through a couple of rounds of severe weather. The next one comes by tonight and into early Saturday. It's not as high of a threat as what we saw just a couple of days ago, especially for our friends in the Panhandle, but nonetheless, it's a low-end risk. We are watching for that. I'll show you future radar in just 1 second. Also, wild card weekend, couple of Florida teams in there, of course. If you're a Bucs fan, we'll have your forecast. If you're a Dolphins fan, I'll have that forecast as well. You may have heard it's going to be really, really cold out west where they are playing at Arrowhead Stadium. And then we're going to focus on the bitter cold that arrives mid to late next week. No doubt the coldest air of the season. Likely widespread 20s for a lot of Florida coming our way. So this one means business. This front means business. Before we get into the forecast, if you do want to stay updated on all things Florida weather, hit that subscribe button for me. And if you happen to find this content helpful, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us out a lot. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have a team in the playoffs, post that in the comments. I want to know who you're rooting for this weekend. All right, severe weather threat for tonight into early Saturday morning. Level 2 out of 5 for the Panhandle, part of the Big Bend, Pensacola, Panama City, Tallahassee, through the west side of Jacksonville. That's that yellow color on your screen. The green color represents a level 1 out of 5. That means that the threat isn't that high, but storm or two could go rogue and produce some damage. So we're going to be watching that again late tonight into early Saturday, early tomorrow as a cold front comes in. That's going to be all the way through about south of Kissimmee, St. Cloud, into Poinciana, down into Sarasota, through Tampa and St. Pete as this active pattern continues because of El Nino. We told you before the winter got started, we told you before fall came around that this was going to be a crazy different winter, cold season anyway, in Florida, and so far that has panned out in terms of the chill and unfortunately the severe weather side of things as well. So here is the high resolution future radar taking you through the rest of the day. Here's Friday. We have scattered strong storms going on in and around the Panama City area, and again, of course, we were just hit really, really hard with severe weather. Again, this threat is nowhere near as bad as what we just saw a couple of days ago, but still strong thunderstorm or two going to be possible as the front pushes down into central Florida. The I-4 corridor from Daytona Beach into Kissimmee, St. Cloud. A couple of strong storms are going to be possible. Still, though, this is not looking that impressive as the front slides through. And then we get down into South Florida early Saturday morning. There's 8 o'clock. You see the darker reds and yellows from Fort Pierce down to Fort Myers into the Naples area north of Miami. That's going to be through the morning. And then once we get into the early afternoon, that's 2 o'clock. Still, the front is kind of slow to clear. So still by 2 or 3, most of the rain is around Fort Lauderdale, still closer to Fort Pierce and Fort Myers. Miami, just a few scattered thunderstorms around until we get into that 11 o'clock hour. I mean, look at that. Still that steady stream as most of the rain, I think, should stay northwest of Miami, but a couple of scattered downpours still going to be with us during your Saturday afternoon, especially later on in the day. On to football now. It is wild card weekend, and the weather is going to be wild at any non-dome game across the NFL this weekend. Look at this. You probably have heard about it by now. 8:10 kickoff, Arrowhead Stadium, Dolphins, Chiefs. The forecast holding now at -1 degree temperature. That's the actual air temperature. Wind chill now pushing 26 degrees below zero. By 9 o'clock, actual air temperatures fall down into 2 degrees below zero. Wind chill about 22 below. And then by 10 o'clock, as the game wraps up, we're going to drop those temperatures down to 4 degrees below zero. That wind chill holding at 26 degrees below zero. It is going to be cold. It is going to be one of the coldest NFL games ever. I'm going to show you the top 5 list coming up in just 1 second. I just want to first show you how nice it's going to be in Miami. All the Dolphins had to do was beat the Bills last weekend, and they'd be playing in a nice 72 degrees. This is, again, just before kickoff at 8 o'clock on Saturday evening. Wind chill, 26 below in KC. 72 is what the actual air temperature is going to be in Miami. That is just about a 100-degree temperature difference between the two cities at the same time at kickoff. That's why you always win your division. Miami, so sorry again if anyone's heading out that way. It is going to be frigid again. That is some no-joke cold. It's going to likely be sitting right around the 5th spot on coldest NFL games ever if we verify. So if anybody's watching that game, pay attention to the, at least I'm a nerd, I'm going to be paying close attention to see what the actual temperature is at kickoff again, because we're going to be close to that 5th spot. Number 5 anyway. Chicago versus Minnesota back in the 70s was -2 with a wind chill of -26. We're going to be right in that threshold. We won't come close to the infamous Ice Bowl. That was at Lambeau Field. You may imagine it gets cold up that way. Dallas versus Green Bay, 13 degrees below zero with a wind chill of 48 degrees below zero. San Diego, Cincinnati, that was number 2 on the list, 9 degrees below zero. Wind chill pushing 60 degrees below zero. Now, there was a weird wind chill factor, wind chill calculation back before the 2000s. So, again, a lot of those wind chills are inflated. But nonetheless, here you go, 2016, number 3. That was when Minnesota had to play at TCF Bank Stadium at the Golden Gopher Stadium because of the Metrodome collapse because of that heavy snow earlier in December. So there's some crazy stuff went on with that. And then 4 degrees below zero with a wind chill of 26 below. That was the Giants in Green Bay not too long ago. I guess it is too long ago. I mean, 2008. I keep on thinking like that was last year. January 20th, 2008. Giants versus Green Bay at Lambeau. 4 degrees below zero. No matter how you slice it, it is going to be cold. All right, if you're a Bucs fan, the weather is still going to be kind of dicey in Tampa. Remember, we won the division if you're a Bucs fan. 68 degrees at kickoff. Scattered showers going to be around. Rain chances at about 60%. Obviously, no snow. Obviously, no bitter cold, but it looks like it is going to be windy, and we are going to be dodging scattered showers as another cold front's going to be hanging around. Again, the breeze out of the south at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. That's going to be as we start to bring in front number 1. It's front number 2 that's kind of impacting Kansas City again as we speak. And then for the Saturday game, kickoff Dolphins at Chiefs, that's going to blast in and give us the no doubt coldest air of the season. We're going to go over some of those temperatures and what we could be waking up to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. But I want to show you this first, kind of the surge of warmth ahead of the cold and then the bitter cold coming down. What we're looking at now is the departure from normal in the temperature department. So all that pink and purple and borderline white, we're pushing 30 degrees below normal. Now, we're in the almost dead of winter in that part of the country where they get winter. So an actual air temperature of 30 degrees below normal is significant. And again, we're seeing that with the Chiefs-Dolphins game. Out ahead of it, you see all the warmth here. Let me bring out my trusty arrow again. These are where we're going to be very, very warm again for a short time. Now watch what happens. That big blob of purple and white pushes on through, and it starts to invade places like Texas, Oklahoma, into the Tennessee, Mississippi River valleys. And then eventually, once we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we start to get into those anomalies. I don't think as extreme as what they're seeing out there in terms of the departure from normal. Still going to be running about 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. And if you're curious, that's what it does. This is without the wind, by the way. Wind chills could be in the teens on Wednesday morning across the Panhandle of Florida. It's going to actually be upper 20s in Tallahassee, upper 20s in Pensacola, 30s in Jacksonville. And then the front starts to slide down the peninsula as we get going through Wednesday afternoon. So highs on Wednesday only in the 50s from Tampa to Orlando to Port St. Lucie, only in the 40s in the Panhandle. We might likely going to struggle to get out of the 30s the further north you are. And then look at this. The chill invades even further south. This could start to be iguana falling out of the tree weather for my friends in southwest Florida. We're going to be in that realm of cold Thursday, and then for you guys, especially on Friday, you see Orlando likely dipping into the 30s, Tampa likely dipping into 30s. This is going to be some serious cold, again, especially northwest of I-4. That's where you want to start thinking about, especially on Wednesday morning. That's when we really need to certainly take care of the plants. Also, the pipes. Don't forget your pets either. Again, this is some big-time cold, especially for Florida standards. But again, this is when it starts acting with some of the pipes, the animate objects. So keep that in mind. We're going to be watching that blast of cold all the way through the weekend and all the way through next week. But again, just want to give you an early heads up that mid to late next week to start preparing for some of that cold to slide on through. All right, guys, it's going to be a fun NFL weekend, of course, also on CBS. News 6, WKMG, we're going to have another likely weather game, Buffalo in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh travels to Buffalo. It's likely going to be a lake effect snow game. Winds could be 40 miles per hour or stronger, gusting during the game. So it is going to be a wild card weekend in the weather department. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the weekend of football. Hope you found this video helpful, and we'll catch you next week.